Hi, this is just a quick video to explain how I was meaning about charging 3 batteries in series with only 5 volts. The idea is each one of these is a 1 amp 5 volt charging circuit for lithium ion batteries. These 3 batteries here are in series. My solar panels each are 5 volts at 2 amps. So yes, these can only handle 1 amp, but my solar panels can offer 2 amps. That's fine, they don't overload the circuits. The circuit will take 1 amp and no more. So it keeps the charge. The idea of this was that each solar panel can keep a separate bank charged and balanced. What I don't have on this image at the moment is the 3 series battery protection circuit that at one point, if any of these drop down to too low a voltage, it cuts off the output. I haven't got anything seen at the moment because I can't actually find it at the moment. But anyway, the idea is the solar panel comes in, charges this bank, and this bank will be whatever you want in parallel to make the capacity up. And it's the same for each one. The thing I found with most Leon charging circuits that are adjustable is you were charging from here to here, but without any way of controlling what voltage the cells were in the middle. This way, if you've got 3 amp coming in, it will go into the cells as it goes. The bad point is you cannot wire these in parallel and charge the 3 series batteries. You'll burn the wires up. It creates a short circuit. So unfortunately that doesn't work. What you have to do is have 3 individual adapters or solar panels. I did find that if you use 3 phone chargers from AC voltage stepping down to 5 volts into the unit, you can charge a phone like that, not a phone, sorry, you can charge a battery pack like that, and it will balance charge them with no messing around of having to put a balance charger on and waiting several days or weeks for them to basically balance themselves out. You just connect these 3 chargers up, connect them to the battery and leave it. Each battery and bank will be charged equally when all these reach to the blue indicator. I can't show you that at the moment because it's pitch black outside and my solar panels have no power out, and I don't have 3 adapters to step from 240 volts to 5 volts, so I might do that in a later video and explain what I mean. The idea of this is that when you're using 1 solar panel, so we'll just cut this off. Right, so this is now a 1 series multi-parallel pack, right? Just as an example. Our solar panel brings in 1 amp, right? No more. When you have the step-up adapter on to go from 3.7 volts up to 5 volt, if you're taking 1 amp on that little circuit board, it's actually drawing 1.5 amp from a battery bank because it takes more power to create the electromagnetic field to produce a higher voltage. What I found was I was actually taking more power out the battery bank than what was being put in. Now, when I realised what was actually going on, it wasn't even putting 1 amp into the battery pack. What it was actually doing was, because the battery pack was say 3.8 volts and I'm putting 4.2 volts in, it was only putting in about 100 milliamp, if a little bit more, because that is all the electrons can give because of the balance of the voltage. The closer the voltage gets to 4.2, the less and less the amount of current flows. So even though you're putting an 8 amp in, you're not actually putting 8 amp in. If you put a if you put a current meter, an amp meter, on your input, you will actually see the true reading that's going into the battery. Now I was fooled with this at first. I thought, oh yeah, my solar panels are putting 8 amp in. My solar panels producing 8 amp. Well, I was actually putting 100 milliamp into the battery bank because it was so close to the full charge voltage. So even though you can produce this amount of current, it doesn't help you if you can't actually get it to the battery. Now when I removed the circuit for charging full stop and put 5 volts in, yes, the ampage did go up into the cells a lot faster, but this was very unsafe because the batteries could overcharge, start to gas and set on fire. So you must use these circuits. You should really also use a protection circuit in case of this unit fails and it carries on putting current in. The protection circuit would shut off. If you do these units now with a protection circuit built in, and I do recommend them. These I bought 10 of probably last year sometime before that version came out. So I do recommend a protection circuit. That works to keep the batteries from overcharging. Now if you have 3 series and a protection circuit on the outside, that will protect you from under discharging. Now if you've under discharged and the unit's switched off, your appliances will not work. What you then have to do is take the live from the battery bank, touch it to the live going out on the PCB protection board, and it will switch back on again. Only needs to be a split second, and I found this was the most effective way of doing it. I was monitoring the current coming in, the current coming out. Now, what I found was, if you have the series, so you have, say, 100 milliamp on each of these coming in, so that's 300 milliamp going into the battery bank. Now, stepping the voltage down, so we'll do the calculations again a different way. We're putting an amp in per bank, and your mobile phone on charge with a car adapter to step the voltage down is drawing only 700 milliamps. You've got a lot less losses stepping the voltage down via pulse width modulation rather than heat dissipation, how most of the cheap transformers work, that your battery pack lasts a lot longer. But you have to have a protection circuit in case one of the middle banks go less than the other bank, so you don't overcharge one bank and over discharge the others. This way, with these 3 circuits, each one of these will charge equally. It will actually max out at 4.2 volts each, so you have no way of overcharging the middle bank of cells. You can over discharge them, but that's what your protection circuit should stop. And even though these are out of balance, they will still come back into balance when the sun comes up and the panel put more power back in. Now if these are at 3.8 and this is at 3 volts, because this one is at a lower voltage, the current will flow faster. There will be more current flow on this one than there will be on these two. So theoretically, it will come within tolerance again of the other 2 cells. And as long as your sun's up, I'm only running a 10 watt panel per bank. Today, very weathery day, very overcast and rainy, I was only putting 10 milliamp in. So you do need a bigger bank of panels. Now if you use a step down transformer, the pulse width modulation one, this also makes your solar panels more efficient, because if you connect your panel straight to a controller and a battery, you drag the voltage of a panel down out of its most efficient range. If you use these step down transformers that are pulse width modulation, they're more efficient because they do not drag the top voltage down of a panel, so it stays in its more efficient range and it becomes more efficient. So you could put an 100 watt panel on this bank into a DC step modulation, which a step down variable controller, like I've shown in one of my past videos, you could step the voltage down into one of these controllers to be a lot safer, because the tolerances are a lot better than these adjustable ones. You would, on an overcast day, probably still get close to 1 amp and still keep with efficiency of the bank. And this is the way I would do it, and this is the way I do intend on doing it. I need to get another couple of panels, give me 6, so that'll be 20 watt per bank, and I'm going to go back to using a car adapter, because after the past week of overcast, as a parallel pack, so single series parallel pack, the voltage is dropping way faster, and the capacity is dropping faster than what I can put back in from a small bank. So the series is a lot better. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope this was informative and helpful.